Welcome back, everybody. And as promised, I have Jerome, Mr. Implementation Lewis, who's a multi-book author. He's authored many books, not just one or two, which my apologies, Jerome. When we were talking in the green room, I thought you only did two books. I didn't realize you have more than that. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Pete. I highly appreciate you having me here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I was able to meet Jerome. I was on his podcast and I thought very highly of him. And I thought you'd be a great resource for our podcast and our listeners. So, Jerome, you call yourself Mr. Implementation. I got to ask you, who gave you that nickname? How'd you get it? What's the kind of the thesis behind that nickname?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you the story. I'm a huge advocate for coaching, like paying for coaching and paying for mentorship. And I had signed up for a coach. A lot of people should know, especially within the marketing realm, Dan Kennedy. I signed up for his coaching. And one time I was going through a newsletter, and I remember him mentioning like establish yourself, like get a nickname. But also one of his premises and his thesis that he taught was like listen to what your customers and your prospects are saying. The people that are coming to you, what are they asking for and what are they looking for? And I was teaching a class at the time. I was teaching real estate agents how to implement marketing into their business. For me, I was like, you just do this, you click here, you do this, and I would make it seem so simple. And it was like, Jerome, listen, I understand all of this stuff. I see what you're doing. I just can't do it myself. I need help with the implementation. And I thought about when my mentor, Dan Kennedy, that I was talking about, I thought about what he said, and he was like, give yourself a nickname, just go with it. And for some reason, something popped up into my head, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to start calling myself implementation. And this was a little bit during COVID. And I remember I put it inside of when you can change your name on Zoom. I put it there, and everybody starts saying Mr. Implementation, Mr. Implementation, and it just stuck and it rung. And I also identified with it because that's what I was focused on. A lot of people understand concepts, theories. A lot of people have ideas, but when it comes to the execution and implementation of the ideas, there was a struggle there. So that's where that name came from. Is that clear?
I love it. Yeah. Look, a lot of coaches, consultants, they kind of give you the very beginning, but then they
Mhm.
don't walk you through on the how,
Right.
on the execution. So I think that's a great nickname to have. And the fact that you walk your folks through that whole thing, and I'm guessing your books do the same thing and you kind of walk through the implementation.
Absolutely. And the first book that I published is called Real Estate Marketing Implementation. That was the very first book that I published. At the time, I was teaching people how to follow up with their marketing and following up with those leads. So the initial title of that book was called Remarketing, and it was a play on words like real estate marketing and follow-up marketing. And I started to pay attention to what people were saying, and I said, you know what? My coach instructed me. She's like, look, I had another coach. Her name was Darcy. She's like, look, you are allowed to tell people your entire process and what it is that you do. So I started to communicate my process within that book, and we changed the name to Real Estate Marketing Implementation. And I go through and I teach people step by step everything that I do. If I were to hold the book up, I know the audience can't see it, but if I were to hold the book up, it's 480 pages. It's a thick, thick book because I'm very transparent and I go through the implementation exactly on what to do in your business.
Yeah,
So
it's not just a book of ideas, it's a book of taking the ideas and then adapting them and then the step by step on how to implement them.
100% a book on implementation.
Love it.
Yeah.
So you worked with lots of clients, real estate, non-real estate. What is a common mistake that you see people make, or like, in their marketing?
So I want to go over, so you said one common mistake. The first, I want to talk about a few, but one of the
Okay.
first mistakes is just understanding that they have to do marketing in general and period, right? A lot of people, they get good at the thing, whatever it is that they do, whether it's being a real estate agent, whether it's a property manager, a capital raiser, they get good at that. And they become so good at that that they get bogged down in it. And there, you can find some people that are really highly skilled, but no one knows about them. So that's a huge mistake that people make. They get really good at the thing, but no one knows about what it is that they do. That's one of the most common mistakes that they make. And then the other mistake that I see people make is they're afraid to niche down. So when you were asking me just now, you said you help clients in real estate as well as clients outside of real estate. I've always had a strong focus on niching down for people in real estate, but sometimes people come to me outside of real estate. Most people believe that if you niche down, you won't be able to serve other clients. But I have the luxury of saying yes or no to those other clients because I'm niche down. So just because I'm niche doesn't mean I push other people away. It's your decision. But that's one of the second biggest mistakes that people make is they don't niche down and focus on one particular niche, industry, or avatar.
I'll say that we call it focus, right? Like you're not focused on one thing, you focus on many things. And when you focus on many things, you do all of them okay, not one
Right.
that's really great. And when you have somebody that niches down, do you find that they are able to identify their target client much better?
Absolutely. And when I was explaining that, the mistake of niching down, I've made that mistake myself too. And one of the things I started to realize is the more I'm niched down, the more I can the quicker I am on the back end, for example. So if I'm working with real estate, within the real estate niche, my template or my starting point is much easier for me to shift that and adjust that versus somebody that's not in real estate. I know the niche and I know the industry so well. So I've worked with some clients that are outside of real estate. For example, one of the things we do is we help people put books together. I work with people that needed to put books together and I've given them a template. And because it's such a different niche or such a different avatar, it's complicated on putting that stuff together for the people. Whereas if I'm niche down and I'm focused, I'm going to use your word, when I'm focused on that one particular avatar or niche, it's much easier on our part to get that person the intended results that they want. In this case, I was talking about a book. It's much easier when I'm working with people that are within the real estate industry. We talk the same jargon, we understand the same language, and it's just a much smoother process because I'm niched down.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. When I first started my property management firm, we were doing basically anything for anyone, meaning single family home, we'd take you. Multifamily home, we would take you. It was if it was inside the city limits, we would take you. Outside in the country, we would take you. And eviction only services, we would take you. Lease only services, we would take you. And basically we could not service all those clients because we didn't have the systems behind it, and we didn't know how to do some of those things. And then when we kind of focused niche down to just single family property management, all of a sudden we were able to systematize, automate, and give our clients a much better product, and we were able to target better. And so do you find that when you can figure out your target, that your marketing investment goes further?
It does absolutely 100% goes further, and it's more efficient. It goes further and you have more impact and more influence on those particular people that you're serving. Because one of the things that we become insecure about as business owners, real estate agents, investors, property owners, like we become insecure about serving. We want to get as many people as we can. And we think just because we niche down, we can't serve people. But a lot of people can be okay with just 100 clients, 200 clients, or something like that. We're so worried. There's 7 billion people on the planet. We don't need the entire 7 billion people. We just need to niche down to a particular person, maybe 1,000, 2,000, or something like that. We start there and we expand accordingly. Most people, they try to start broad and wide and they try to serve everyone, and it's not effective. You waste a lot of money. Your messaging, a core importance in marketing is your messaging. Like what I would say to a real estate agent is different than what I would say to a stay-at-home mom. And when you're investing time in that messaging, that marketing and stuff like that, you have to make shifts and adjustments. And it costs time, it costs resources. So when you niche down, it makes things much easier and much smoother.
Got it. So we'll recap. First mistake is you don't do marketing. You do what you do really well, but you don't market at all. Number two is you'll take anything from anyone, not focused, not niche down. And number three is by niching down, you can really identify your target market, and then you can set up your messaging better for that target market, which means that your investment dollars goes a lot further, and you actually get investment from spend versus just spending to
100%.
spend. Okay.
Exactly.
Any other mistakes that you could think of that people do before we move on?
Yeah, it's a lot of mistakes. One of my least favorite is not investing in like paid advertising, like having a paid advertising system. Some people will try to just do like all free marketing, and it's okay to have some free marketing, but you also want to have some paid marketing. That's why I'm a huge fan of books. People are used to receiving books, paying for books, and it's like a client acquisition tool. So it allows you to reinvest back into your customers, back into your prospects. I really love paid marketing because the money that you bring in, you can reinvest back out into your customers and clients. And the more money you make, the more you can serve them, the better you can serve them.
All
So
right, so let's dive into that just a little bit, right? So
sure.
paid marketing, like a lot of people don't know how to do it. Like it's like,
Mhm.
okay, great, it's paid marketing. Now what do I
Mhm.
do? So what would you recommend somebody who's never done marketing before, has never done paid
Mhm.
marketing? What give me like high level steps. We don't have to go into the full implementation, Mr.
Absolutely.
Implementation. Let's go. It's just kind of like high level steps. Like where they go? What is paid marketing? Who do they use?
Yeah. So my you could it could go like multiple ways, and I like you said, I go a little bit deeper inside of the book, the real estate marketing implementation book. But paid marketing is you pay some list or resource. Most people do social media. They'll go to Google and they'll pay Google to display their ads on the search results or different websites. Another more common paid advertising resource is when you go on Facebook and Instagram, you'll see sponsored ads. Like that's a form of paid advertising. Now, to effectively do paid advertising, what I see that works the best is if you offer someone something for a nominal price. And my favorite thing to offer people, especially because it acquires educated buyers, my favorite thing to offer people is a book, right? So a book is considered a lead magnet. This is a way where you get people interested. He's like, hey, we got this thing that I'll send to you for a small price. And it's, if somebody's willing to take out their credit card and pay for that thing, they're showing some true interest. So that's one of the things that's what I would do. I like Google, I like Facebook. And there's other like more niche ways to do it. You can send out direct mail, you can send out postcards, and you can offer something. You offer something of value to the person. We're talking to property managers. They can write a book on how to, best manage your building. They can write a book on how to build the best vendor network in order to serve the multifamily. There's different ways that they can offer value to people and they can charge for that value. That's one of the reasons why I love a book. People don't mind taking out $10, $20 to pay for a book and get the value that it is that they're looking for.
Where do you come out on like a call to action for like a free ebook? Like, is that okay, or do you really want them to actually pay something? Like, so for example, if I'm a
Mhm.
property management firm, I'm looking
Mhm.
for people that own real estate that they don't want to manage themselves, right?
Mhm.
So I know my avatar is whatever, it's somebody makes X amount of dollars, they have a property, they don't live in it in, Houston. I'm in Houston, right? And
Mhm.
so then we have that advertising on Facebook or Google, and then we write an ebook that says, how to self-manage your property or why use a property management firm, something like that. Is that kind of
Mhm.
what you're thinking as far as like kind of content?
That is a strategy that I like to incorporate what it is that I'm talking about. I like to take it a step further and like to make the assets like crystallized and touchable, like things you can touch, feel, pass around, give away. One of the reasons why I love the book is because people don't throw books away and they donate them. So that asset lives on and it brings you new clients, new customers, etc. You can go out to an event and you can give that away. Whereas if you go to an event and you got a digital asset, people download it, they leave it on their flash drive. They really don't get back around to it. So I like things that people can physically touch, handle. People are becoming exhausted of ebooks. I'm not saying that they don't work, but they're tired of courses and this and that. And when you send them like a real asset that they can touch, feel, it makes it a little more real. The other thing is like the other reason why I like paid is because that just shows that they're invested, even if it's a nominal fee. So you mentioned like free ebook. One of the best strategies that I see is a book for free plus shipping, right? So you give them the book free, but they pay for the shipping, and it could be a
Oh,
nominal
okay.
fee, $5. But you want to get that person to take out their credit card and show that they're, listen, I'm willing to invest financially in the value that you're offering. Further, like once we take that and they take out their credit card, this goes a little bit deeper. You can make them other offers because they've taken it out. There's like, look, I'm willing to pay $5 for this checklist on how
Time to
to
say
be a
yes.
better property manager. Right. You got them to say yes. So now you can say, guess what, Jerome, you like the book. How about I offer you this little mini course for $47 as well? So they took out their credit card and now they spent the total of maybe $50 or so. And that's $50 that I can invest back into them. As an example, I can pay for the shipping, I can pay for a package, I can send them a nice gift in the mail as well. And that sticks a little bit better than just an ebook that you download on your computer or a course that you downloaded and you forget to go access. Is that making sense?
It makes sense. Can I use somebody else's book? Like people
Yeah.
listen to this right now, I can tell you they're
Mhm.
overwhelmed, overworked,
Mhm.
underpaid. And so they're like, well, hell, Jerome, I don't have time to write a book. Um,
Mhm.
can I use somebody else's book? Like, hey, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Hey, this is a great book. We'll send you the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, something like that.
I absolutely, yeah, I do. I am a fan of other books. One of the things I'll do is like I'll have them access my book, for example, and I'll put other books in there. For example, I might say, look, Robert Kiyosaki, he's got me interested in real estate investing. So I'm sending you a book on my behalf as well as a book to Robert. I think the most effective is when you deliver like your own information. And I do understand that people are overwhelmed. And in my book, Real Estate Marketing Implementation, teach people a process on how to put a book together fast, right? You can put a book together and you've got testimonials included in the book. If you're willing to dedicate 4 hours, you can get a book done,
Yeah,
right?
cool.
So I teach you how to like actually implement that book. And a lot of times people think like, oh my God, I got to write this huge book with all of this processing and all of this stuff. And a book can be as simple as answering the top questions that someone has, answering the 5 mistakes that
So it
people
could be like
make
a
as a
20-page
company.
book. It doesn't have to be
20 page, right. It's
484-page book.
exactly. It can be a
Got it.
small, simple book that you
So
deliver.
basically, you take an ebook concept, but instead of an ebook, you're actually printing it out and you actually have a book,
Exactly. And the ebook.
which makes you more of the authority figure. Yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of us have already done that work as professionals and entrepreneurs. Like you said, ebook. Like I know you've got some ebooks or some content around somewhere. You've got videos, you got podcasts. You can take this up, you can transcribe it. There's so much you can do with it really quickly because of technology, AI, and ChatGPT. You take a couple more extra steps to separate yourself. Yes, there's a little more work involved, but it also pays off because you're willing to do what other people aren't willing to do. So I do understand that it can be overwhelming. People don't want to do more work, but the extra step that you take, it separates you from everyone else. And it's not as difficult as we think. You mentioned earlier, like I talk about implementation, I walk people through stuff. I have a YouTube channel and I just show people everything. I'm very transparent. It's not as difficult as we think it is because of technology, especially ChatGPT and YouTube and videos, all these resources we have access to, it makes it that much easier.
Do you think so? Somebody listening to this like, well, if I teach everybody how to do self-management, they're just not going to use me. They're going to do self-management. Do
Mhm,
you find that it's actually the opposite? Like I give you all the information, you get over like you as the
mhm.
potential client gets overwhelmed by that information, and then you just call me to manage your property.
I do. That is my experience. And when my coach, her name was Darcy, Darcy would say, Jerome, just share your process. Some people are going to say, Jerome, that's too
Yeah.
overwhelming. I want to come to you for exactly what it is that you do. I know it's all in that book, Jerome, but I can't do it. Look, it's 480 pages. No, thank you. Can you help me do it, please? And they come
Right.
to me. The other thing is like sometimes we feel like we have to share our process. Maybe you don't have to share your process. When I coach people, one of the things that I do is I just say, hey, listen, and what are they asking you? What are the top questions that they have? What are the top mistakes that they make? What are the top things they need to know? This
Yep.
all becomes content, and you share that content, you put it in a nice format, and you share it with them. So there's different ways you can go about it. You can share your process, you can answer questions, you can answer myths, lies, mistakes. Like when I first popped on a podcast, you asked me, Jerome, what are the top mistakes that people make? I can make a book on the top mistakes that people make as in marketing, and I can share that as asset and a resource.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, you can make the top mistakes that people make self-managing. You can make the top
Right.
mistake. You can do a book on how the eviction process works, right? How does insurance work? You could do a whole bunch of stuff based on that.
Exactly.
All right,
100%.
so I have my target. I create a paid ad, so let's say Facebook or Google. So, how do you know typically how much an ad costs? I know I'm putting you on the spot. I don't expect you to know it, but just an idea. How does it get charged? Is it by like is it by click? Is it by like how many I'm going to put out there? Like how does that work?
Yeah, so I mentioned three resources, and I'm going to try to go from easiest to most difficult.
Mhm.
So a list, if you just want to target a list, that varies. It can mean, you meet somebody that has a property management list and they say, Jerome, we'll charge you $1 per address on this list. That list can be 1,000, it could be 2,000. That's your advertising. You got to
Got it.
worry
That's
about
kind of
the
like a
cost of
paper
sending
list that
out.
I get, or they email me an
Exactly.
Excel spreadsheet. Okay.
100% paperless. You got that. Number two, you got Facebook, which is Facebook is called when it comes to their advertising. You get on Facebook, you're not looking for anything particular. Facebook and Instagram, you just get on there, you're browsing. Facebook's advertising platform is called a disruptive. It's called disruptive advertising. So Facebook intent is for you to get on and enjoy, and people want to show you ads that are relevant to you even though you're not necessarily looking for something.
Right.
It's based on your
If I'm
interest.
somebody's avatar, and that's why the Facebook ad would pop up through my feed.
Exactly. They're
And
looking and
so,
they're hoping that you click it. They're disrupting your experience to potentially show you an ad. Okay.
right. And so, I'm guessing that if I'm the company that wants to create the ad, there's some back end to Facebook, and I put in like my ad, and I put in the avatar or the target that I'm looking to reach out to.
Exactly. You go by interest, avatar, you can go by groups, you can do like similar things. And to answer your question, like a little more directly on terms of cost, that can vary. So the thing that I love about Facebook is that you can start really, really cheap. You can do $1 a day. I have a colleague that does $1 a day strategy called DAD. His name is Dennis Yu. You can advertise for as little as $1 a day.
Got it.
It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get clients and ads, but you're showing your advertising, for example. And sometimes you do get leads, or sometimes you do. It depends on your targeting. So it could be as little as $1 a day. What I like to, it's hard to tell people exactly what to do, like what kind of budget they should have. But generally, when people say, "Oh, Jerome, how much should I spend on advertising?" I like to say the $50 number, like $50 per day, right, to get your customer or client. Now that varies depending on who you're targeting, what your objective is. But I like to start at the $50 mark for
Do you do
people.
it based on like your marketing spend should be a percentage of your overall revenue? I had a business coach that taught me that. I think it's supposed to be like 15 to 20% of your revenue should be marketing spend. Do you have any percentages that you like, or you just like the per day one, the
I
$50?
like the per day
Okay.
for most people because it's simple and people could kind of start there.
Yep.
It's easier for people to digest. When you become bigger, then you start looking into it. We should be spending this much on advertising, this much on marketing, and getting this amount of return.
Okay.
So I like to start at the dollar per day, and then when you become more advanced, I like to go up to. I haven't. I'm not at the revenue necessarily yet, but I like to do like say I have an advertising budget of $3,000 per month. I'm willing to, as long as I'm making, it depends, right? So if it's $3, let's dial it down. Let's not do $3,000 per month. Let's do $100 per day. If I spend $100 per day, but I'm getting clients that's going to pay me on the back end, or I'm getting customers, that's worth it to me,
Correct.
right? Some people might just be spending advertising, they spend advertising, and they're losing money because they don't have an intent to get a customer. A customer to you might be worth $5,000 for the year. So if you spend $100 to get that customer, it's worth it. You're making like almost infinite return on that. Okay.
Right.
So
That's why the CTA is so important to get them to act.
exactly. That's why the CTA is important. And that's why I am a fan of getting people to pay instead of just offering free, 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 free. There are places where you want to add free and offer free resources, but the more you can get them into invest and pay, the less you take a hit on your marketing budget. Is that making sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So,
So
okay, so the target, then I have the setting up the ad. Let's just go down Facebook for right now. I have the Facebook
sure.
ad. I have this offer. So now what happens next? Are there certain numbers that you're looking at to determine if that ad is working or not?
Yeah, there are certain numbers, and I am of the camp that, so I'm a Dan Kennedy student. And I like to be aggressive. I know some people won't necessarily appreciate that. However, he has a good quote that I like to say: "Whoever can invest the most amount of money to acquire a customer wins." Most people are afraid to spend the amount of money to get the customer. So I like to be spending as much as possible, and that's part of the reason why I like the paid strategy because that customer is paying, but I can take that money and reinvest. Right?
Right. Only if the ad's working, right? So you don't want to just spend money
Working.
to
Right.
just to spend money, because I've always said I want to invest money in marketing. I don't want to spend money in marketing,
Invest. Right.
right?
And that's where he used to say, whoever can spend the most money to acquire, spend the most money to acquire a customer, and then eventually it changed to invest the most money to acquire a customer wins. So I'll look at it as an investment too. I don't think of marketing as an expense. I think of it as an investment,
Mhm.
and it's very strategic. It depends on your avatar and customization. But you got to be strategic, and your customer has to be more worth more than you're spending on the marketing. If
So
they're
when I
if I'm
look at,
spending $50 a day and a customer is worth if a customer is worth $51, I get a customer, I'm a dollar in the green. That's an extreme example, but that's how I like to look at it.
so okay, so can I and I don't know this, so that's why I'm asking,
Yep.
the expert here. In Facebook and Google and all that stuff, I'm assuming I can look at my ads and see how many people have seen it, impressions, how many people have actually clicked on it, and then eventually will I be able to see how much people bought or how many leads I generated from that ad?
Yes, 100%. And that's like tracking is so important. So the first lead resource that I mentioned, like the list, it's hard to track it, right? You go offline and you send out some stuff. You don't know who's responding, what's getting delivered. It's hard to track that.
Hmm.
Okay. Whereas on Facebook and the digital platforms, they have like automatic tracking. It's not always super accurate, but it's built in and it'll track it for you. The other thing you mentioned, like, will I be able to see is the one thing I do love about Facebook is they have what's called the Facebook ad library. So you don't even have to be really smart or sophisticated. You can go find out what's working by checking in the Facebook ad library, check out some of your competitors. I like to check out bigger companies like Zillow, Trulia, Realtor. I like to check them out, see what ads they're running,
Hmm.
and I like to
Okay.
duplicate their ads. So Facebook has a really effective tool called the Facebook ad library. That's one of their biggest advantages. If you just Google Facebook ad library, it'll come up and you'll see you can go in there and you can type in search for property management ads, real estate investment ad. You can type that stuff in and you can
And
see
can you
all
see how well
the
those ads
ads.
are doing for those? You can actually see that how the ads are doing, or you just see the ads and you assume they're converting.
Yeah, you cannot see how well they're doing. You can see how well yours are doing and you can do your own numbers, but you can't see the back end of other people's
Yeah,
ads.
that makes sense. That'd be too good to be
Yeah.
true, huh?
Right, that would be too good to be true. You can make some assumptions, and there's what's called spy tools that will give you an idea. They'll give you an idea, like I know Similar Web is one of the tools. They'll give you an idea of what's happening, but nobody can predict and tell you exactly what's going on because we also don't understand their back end either. They might be investing $1,000 and they might be negative in
Right.
their advertising, but a customer
But it
might
looks
be
good.
worth $10,000 to them.
Got it. So once they have the offer here, now because it's digital, does that then funnel that lead funnel into my CRM system, my yeah, what is it? CRM system or CRS system? Does it jump into that? My
It
Zoho
could.
or my HubSpot?
Yeah, it could. So Zoho and HubSpot are popular platforms that I know have integrations from Facebook. It definitely could. And I know those are just a few clicks. So it depends on your business. Some people might not use those CRMs. Some people's intent might be different. They might want phone calls. Some people might want you to visit their website link. So it depends on how you set it up.
Or where do you come out? Like, do you believe that everybody should have some type of CRM system?
100%. I absolutely believe a CRM is like essential to any business because I was telling you about the book that I wrote earlier, like following up. Like a huge part of following up is tracking. Is
Yeah.
tracking. And the best tools to track and follow up and manage is a CRM. It's a customer relationship management tool. Like there's no better tool for it. You can try to write it down or remember it or put it in your
Put in some
phone.
spreadsheet, right? Yeah.
Right. But the CRM does all of this stuff automatically. It gives you tags and websites, all kinds of stuff. So 100% I'm on board on the CRM.
In your experience, how many times does somebody have to be followed up with before they convert?
In my experience, I so I've seen some stats and it's hard to verify the stats, but I've seen a good follow-up cadence. I see a lot of people fall between, they say between 5 and 7. That's what I see. In my
Okay.
experience, I don't have exact numbers because it varies across industries, it varies across verticals. I like to say until they buy. There's a quote, until they buy or until they die. There's a quote, and I believe in that quote. I follow up, and no matter how much I need to follow up, keep following up until they say, you know what, take me off the list, or they unsubscribe or something like that. There's not a set number. However, in my experience, I've seen people say between 5 and 7 is what works.
I've
And
read seven is kind of the number I see a lot, but so 5 and 7 sounds
yeah,
right. Now, most people, if you don't have a CRM system, you're only following up like once or twice. So
once or
how many
twice.
people you're missing, right? I think there's a very small amount of people that sign up within once or twice, and there's a higher percentage that buy after 7 times.
Exactly.
Right. So
Yeah.
if you're not following up at least 7 times, or at least 5 to 7 times, you're losing the lion's share of your potential business.
100%. And you mentioned like that CRM, and that CRM is essential to follow up because the CRM can do some of that stuff automatically for you. It
Mm.
can send out your text message automatically. It can send out emails for you automatically. And if you have the right like tags and stuff in place, it can even send out direct mail and gifts and stuff, initiate and send that stuff out for you automatically. So nothing else can do that and build in cadences like that other than the CRM, which you mentioned a little bit earlier.
All right, so now you know a little bit about our business, right? We're property managers. We manage properties for investors that have single family. So then these are mom
Mhm.
and pop investors. Um,
Mhm.
I'm going to ask you to go to your bag of tricks. And what do you think in your mind? Just I know it's off the cuff, and I'm putting you on the spot, and I don't mean to do it, but I kind of do.
I like it.
Um, what would be the one strategy if somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I just need one strategy," what would you say? This is the one strategy I would start with
To do what? Acquire customers?
to acquire customers. Would you go back to the Facebook posts? I mean, the Facebook ads. Would you
To
buy list? Would
acquire
you?
single family. So they're investing. We're looking for single family investors, correct?
That's right. That somebody who has a property that they no longer want to manage, or they bought a property and they want us to manage for them. Would you try to find out where those people hang out and then
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I would try to I'm trying to boil this down to one strategy. That's why I love the like having assets. I do love like the having the book asset because what I would do is similar to what we're doing. I'm a speaker. I'm looking for to acquire people that invest in single family and they don't want to manage them. I would have the asset and I would go to different podcasts and I would speak.
I love
That's
it.
warm traffic and warm introductions. Like, yeah, I was on Pete's podcast. Hey, if you want to learn more, go get access to my book. I lay everything out inside of that book. That's how I would do it. Traffic, like the paid advertising stuff that we were talking about, that's for cold traffic. That's like new customer acquisition, which can be a little more expensive. And it can be like a lot of figuring things out because people don't know you and you're not necessarily a trusted expert just yet. And but part of the reason why you become the trusted expert is if you have that book. Like experts write books. So that's why I'm a huge advocate of the book strategy versus some of the other stuff.
I think it's a
So the
great.
one strategy
It's,
I would speak, I would volunteer like, hey, you got a real estate investor group. Let me come talk to your group and give them some tips on how to best work with property managers or the top mistakes they should avoid or things like that. I would go speak and I would talk and provide that value and have an asset I can give away, such as a book. It could be a course, it could be anything, a digital asset, something you put together in ChatGPT that you can offer them. But I found to be the most effective is the book. People that, even if they don't read them, people that are like interested in buy books, they become better customers. They're educated.
well, I think you hit the nail on the head. You said to become the industry expert. And
Mhm.
I, being on podcasts, speaking, and having a book, I think basically solidifies you as an industry expert. And I would even go one further. You can even create your own seminar class and have investors come to that class, and you can teach them all about self-management. And then what will happen is a fair number of those folks will just say, "Hey, here's my keys. Take my property.
Yes,
I want you to manage
please
it."
do it. Yeah,
Right. All right, Jerome. Believe it or not, we actually have done 35 minutes already. Can you believe that? So,
I cannot. I'm shocked.
I mean, you're just a this wealth of knowledge here, and I'm really glad we got deep into the Facebook thing because I think people will be able to take some action items from here. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a commercial break real quick, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to put you in the lightning round. All right. So everybody will be right back with Jerome Lewis, Mr. Implementation. Jerome will be right back and put you on the hot seat. All right, welcome back, everybody. All right, Jerome, are you ready for the hot seat? Are you ready for the
I'm
lightning round?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. What was your first job?
My first job. My first job was I worked at a supermarket called Pathmark. That was my first job. And it taught me so much. I'm going to expand a little bit. Taught me so much about customer service and it actually pushed me towards entrepreneurship. So it was a headache at the time, but it really pushed me like, you know what? I can't do this. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life.
What is one piece of advice you'd give someone who's just starting out in business?
My piece of advice I would give them is invest in yourself and your own education, like take time to educate. Find a mentor or a coach and don't worry about just what you can take from that mentor or coach, just what you can learn. Find a way to add value. And I know that adding value can be tough, it can be difficult, but if you pay attention, you just make offers to that person. Hey, Pete, you know what? I would be happy to clean up your podcast episodes, or Pete, I would be happy to run some social media management for you, or Pete, do you like Starbucks? Let me buy you a $50 gift card. Just make offers without asking them what they want. Like, you'll find something will strike, something will hit. A lot of times people say, hey, can I pick your brain? What you need help with? Like, find a way to just add value without asking, because business owners, entrepreneurs, they're busy and they don't want to think about more stuff. So find a way to just take initiative and add value without asking them.
And I would say for us in the property management field, take that, expand on it, and join some mastermind groups. There's a ton of mastermind groups out there. And if you're very new, people who I find who are successful in any business will be more than happy to give you information. So great piece of advice there. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No, but I never tasted it, but I think no.
Okay, if you had to, what would be your go-to fast food restaurant?
If I had to, because I don't do fast food. If I had to, it would be, man, that's a tough one. Fast food, something popular, huh? Like something national.
Yeah,
Burger King.
Burger King. Have it your
Yeah.
way. All right.
Yeah.
What is your ideal vacation?
This is going to be weird. My ideal vacation is I like quiet. A lot of people like the sun and to be on a beach. I like quiet. I like lakes. I like mountains, and I like to kind of be by myself and away from people. I like tranquil peace and water. So a cabin somewhere, areas like that. I have a friend, Mike. He actually offered to take me camping. This will be my first time camping. I'm looking forward to that. So stuff like that. I don't like to be around typical touristy places. I like mountains, quiet, serene places. Though that would be an ideal vacation for me.
Got it. What is something that most people don't know about you?
Something most people don't know about me. Um, Man, that's a good one. You got me on that one. What is something most people don't know about me? I don't know. I don't know. So I'll go with what came up today. I have a group I run with, like some real estate agents, and um some people call it out. People don't know, like I have a direct attitude. I'm like very straightforward. People don't know that I'm very soft at heart and I care. I care very much, but I have on like armor or shield. So I think people might misinterpret my facade for who I am. Like, I'm very soft, I'm very kind, and I care very much. And I think people tend to misinterpret that. So that's what came up today. That's what I'm going with.
All right, I like it. What is a book that you're currently reading or one that has impacted your business or life?
Oh man, I got it right here. There's this book called Objections by Jeb Blount. I went over this several times, and it's very impactful for me right now. Very, very, very impactful book. It talks about the title is The Ultimate Guide for Mastering Objections, the Art and Science of Getting Past No. As entrepreneurs and sales professionals, we have to deal with people telling us no all the time. And this book does a great job on helping us get past those no's. And then I'm going to give you one more because someone asked me about it today. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. That was a good book. For a while, I struggled with understanding why people couldn't implement or get things done in their business, and that book really helped me understand that. It helped me see, like, it's in an interview format, and Napoleon Hill is talking to the devil in theory, and it just helped me understand that people like to blame stuff outside of themselves,
Mhm.
and it just really helped me understand and empathize with people more on why they couldn't do certain stuff.
All right, last one. What do you prefer, dogs or cats?
Dogs. I like dogs. I would have to
Okay.
go with dogs. Yeah.
All right. All right, you are officially out of the lightning round. Well done, my friend. Well
Thank
done.
you.
All right, Jerome, if somebody felt compelled, they wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way to contact you, or where can they get your book at?
Yeah, the best way to reach out to me, I have a website, jeromelewis.com. I also have a phone number. I'm an introvert, so please text it before you give me a call. That phone number is 267-888-1085. And to get my book, you can go to Amazon. All of them are available on Amazon. I've published over 20 books. And I also have a website, remarketingbook.com, and that's where you can get the book. It's a free plus shipping offer, right? It's free. You just cover the shipping.
And it's Jerome Lewis, Lewis.
Yes,
Jerome
Jerome
Lewis.
Lewis, Lewis.com.
Awesome, Jerome. Thank you so much. If you're listening to this and you are not a member of NARPM, please consider joining. Go to NARPM, NARPM.org, or give them a call at 800 oh man, my eyes are dying here, man. 782-3452. 800-782-3452. Yeah, this is called getting old, Jerome. I'm getting old. Yep, that's the number. And if you are in the market to hire a remote team member or virtual assistant, please give VPM Solutions a shot at it. VPMsolutions.com, the home of the lifetime guarantee. If we place somebody, we guarantee them for life. So if they decide to leave and a year later, we will rehire, no charge on that. We also have a do-it-yourself that's free, and we have a do it with you that is a free option as well. So if you're thinking about that, give us a call. Jerome, my pleasure. That flew by, buddy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.